Alliance, and it is the 16th. It is the 16th of March, and we are getting ourselves taken care of on all of our uh, announcements that we need to make and different things like that. So, um, let's do announcements first. We had our event for the Eden Wellness Alliance's monthly event last Saturday. It was the Emergency Preparedness the Healthy Way, and we had that event, and it's started up. We are going and getting our all the stuff that we need to work around with that and kind of edit a little bit on it because of attendance or lack thereof. We want to try and get those out a bit better. So if you know of good ways to get an event put out, then let me know. I would like to have that information. But otherwise, it went along fine. We're going to have our next event on next month, and it will be over. Let me tell you correctly. Uh, yes, seasons cleanings is what we call it. We're going to talk a bit about the different effects that we're going to kind of talk about allergies, is what we're going to kind of talk about. But hopefully, it will also encompass uh, things you can use throughout the year. Because there's two main seasons that you get allergies. You get them mainly in spring and mainly in fall. And we'll discuss why that is and what your body's going through when that happens and different things like that. So it will hopefully be very beneficial for you. That's going to be the second Saturday in April. But that's next week. That's not this coming week. I have been notified about a essential oil class. If you want to go to one of those, it's on Saturday in the morning at 10 a.m. It's going to be at Farmers Bank in Greenwood, the main branch there. That's where it'll be. So if you want to go to an essential oil event, that might be a spot that you can go to this Saturday. I also wanted to announce that the Eden Wellness Alliance has been in contact with some of our members, and there's been a desire for healthy use of certain medicinal plants and things like that. We're looking into CBD oil, which is the use of a plant that many of us are familiar with, but it doesn't have any of the THC or the mind-altering effects that you might be knowing that plant for. It is purely it has none of that, so it's going to not have those effects on the system. It's not going to have any kind of psychedelic or psychological hallucinatory effects or down or upper thingies. It's going to be hopefully something that we can use to get a better alkalizer in the system than just a few of the normal ones. And sometimes your body needs a bit of variety. There's been lots of great references and information about it, and it has no negative effects to it. The only negative thing about it is the connotation that it gets from the plant it comes from. So that's something that we're willing to look at and address for people. So if you have questions about that, I'm learning about it a bit myself, so we can each get some more information on it. We might do a question, a state of the association on it once we start using it a bit to see how well it's affecting the system and everything, and how well we're liking the effects the CBD oil will have. So, and for those worried, it is not an illegal substance. It is legal in all 50 states. So that's nothing to worry about. And that's the main things that I needed to announce today. So I believe we're talking about iodine today. If I remember right, we're talking about 10 surprising benefits of iodine. So let me get you guys over. Let me put this on the page real quick. There we're broadcasting it now. So 10 surprising benefits of iodine. And let me see. We're going to start this right on up. We talked a little bit about things similar to this before, so this is not completely new information, but it is going to be beneficial for us. So stepping right on in, this is an organicfacts.net article, and we'll just dive right into the text. Iodine is an essential trace element, so it's trace mineral, is what they're saying, that is vital for normal growth and development. About 60% of the iodine in the human body is stored in the thyroid gland. Its health benefits play a very important role in normal functioning of the thyroid gland, which secretes thyroid hormones that control the base metabolic rate of the body. In fact, without it, thyroid hormones could not even be synthesized. Iodine controls the functioning of thyroid glands in the human body, which in turn has a significant influence on the metabolic processes in the body. It helps in the optimal utilization of calories, thereby preventing the storage of excess fat. Other benefits include removal of toxins from the body and assistance for the system in utilizing various minerals like calcium and silicon. So, to stop right there for just a minute, you can see there why iodine is talked about and so important. Why in the earlier portion of salts, well, I can't say that. In the earlier portion of um, the foray of of different studies into the importance of nutrition and minerals, that there was iodized salt that they would get. That's a normal thing you can find in the stores, iodized salt, because people were having to deal with a lot of the deficiency in that. Um, that's binding salt to pure iodine that you've synthesized in the lab is not the best way to go about getting your iodine though. So we're going to kind of touch on that as we go through. But just mentioning that, it is something that has been noticed for a long time, and they're going to talk about deficiency symptoms of iodine now. A deficiency of iodine has had serious effects on the body. Symptoms of its deficiency include frustration, depression, mental retardation, poor perception levels, goiter, abnormal weight gain, decreased fertility, coarse skin, changes in stillbirth in expectant mothers, chances of stillbirth in expectant mothers, consumption, and fatigue. Serious cases, mental retardation associated with this disease, with diseases such as cretinism, characterized by serious physical malformations, can be the result of can be the result, according to WHO, that's the World Health Organization, reports. Iodine deficiency is one of the leading causes of mental retardation all over the world. This is somewhat rare for it is somewhat rare for this deficiency to occur in North America, as many food items are either grown in iodine-rich soil or they contain salt, which is fortified, often often iodinized in Western nations. However, some countries do not iodize their salt, and cultures that grow crops and livestock at great distance from coastal waters are less likely to have iodine-rich soil, so they must consider it in their diet. The body needs about the body needs 100 to 200 micrograms of iodine per day, and a fourth teaspoon of iodine sea salt contains approximately 95 micrograms of iodine. So you see why nations with access to iodized salt are far less likely to suffer from iodine deficiency. So you see here what they've got going on with the iodized sea salt. But what they're not kind of touching on, well, they get down into the sources. So I'm just going to briefly mention it, and then I'll touch heavier on it if they don't do it here in the sources. But it's mainly for people that don't live close to the sea. That's because sea salt has iodine in it, much better balance than salt that you get iodized from the store. So unless like we're saying, unless you're in a country that can't get sea salt, which America is not a country that can't get sea salt. You can get sea salt at Walmart or even a little small local store usually has sea salt. So it's not a crazy thing to get that. But that's what you would get. That's what you would want to kind of look at. Important sources of iodine. It is present in large quantities in both marine plants and animals, including shellfish, deep water whitefish, and brown seaweed kelp, which can absorb iodine from seawater. Be sure to include abundant quantities of canned sardines, canned tuna, lobster, oyster, clams, cod, haddock, halibut, herring, perch, salmon, sea bass, and shrimp in your monthly diet. Dulse, kelp, and seaweed also contain dietary iodine. Garlic, lima beans, Swiss chard, summer squash, sesame seeds, soybeans, turnip greens, and spinach are rich in iodine as well. Iodized salt is another important source of iodine, and bakers regularly add iodine to bread dough as a stabilizing agent. So really, there's no reason you should be low on iodine. What happens in America is you get the wrong kind of iodine. You don't get bioavailable iodine. You get bioavailable iodine from the food sources that they mention, but not from adding it into something that doesn't normally have it. It's not readily bioavailable because it's not being pre mixed by either the plant or the animal that's already consuming it. So you have that situation there going on. Um, I if you're going to get it and you're going to try and focus on improving your iodine balances, go with those vegetables that already have it in it, and then you won't have to worry about adding salt and trying to do that, because it's not really going to help you if what you're looking for is the iodine. Because what is not talked about is, like they mentioned up here, iodine is important for utilizing calcium and silicon. Well, when you throw salt into the mixture, salt throws off your chloride, and then that has to be rebalanced out in your blood by your other minerals, and therefore you're not getting the net gain that they're talking about. You're dumping, like they said, 95 micrograms of iodine into your system, but you're not utilizing 95 micrograms. Okay, not when it's in sea salt, and not when it's in salt that's been artificially supplemented with it, artificially put in there. So that's something to think about. That's something to really to address when you're wanting to supplement your iodine and monitor your levels and improve your thyroid levels and health. So health benefits of iodine. It is required to ensure proper development and metabolism in humans. Some of its specific benefits include metabolic rate, and this happens because iodine influences the functioning of thyroid glands by assisting in the production of hormones, which are directly responsible for controlling the body's base metabolic rate. Metabolic rate affects efficiency and efficacy of many of the body's organ systems and regular processes, including absorption of food, sleep cycles, and the transformation of food into usable energy. So if you've got problems with your absorption of food, sleep cycles, or usable energy, yeah, it may have something to do with your thyroid because of your hormones, of course. Certain hormones like thyroxine and thiodithamine, triodoth, trio words, triiodothyronine influence heart rate, blood pressure, body weight, and temperature. The body maintains the BMR, base metabolic rate, with the help of these hormones, which also helps in protein synthesis, ensuring their normal creation and distribution in the body, as is key to maintaining health. So maintaining the thyroid gland, which that sounds like a weird sentence. So maintaining the thyroid gland, which they come from, is essential, indeed. So that's a long way to. That's a full paragraph to say your metabolic rate gets helped. And I'm glad they did, kind of, because it does mention several things, like specific things that are changed or different in your system because of your thyroid. That's always nice to hear and see in an article, that they tell you what they're talking about. They don't just show you what they're talking. They don't just mention something and then not elaborate. So yeah, I like this article quite a bit so far. Um, Aside from the usable, uh, the not mentioning bioavailability, and this is a pretty good one. Energy levels, of course, because of those hormones being changed, and that's kind of what they touch on there. Efficiently using calories and whatnot. Um, that's a big deal if you're going to want to clean out. I mean, it's important to be able to effectively use your foods and digest things just in general. So, having it healthy and getting your body healthy and doing it that way, doing it natural, um, letting those energy levels naturally come up, letting that metabolism naturally come up, and supporting that thyroid is probably the best thing you can do for your system. So, um, the best thing you can do for your system as far as monitoring your weight and your metabolism and your fat, your BMI, your body mass index. Healthy nails, hair, and teeth. The health benefits of iodine include the formation of healthy and shiny skin, teeth, and hair. It is an important element for hair care, as a lack of this mineral can result in hair loss. However, it also speeds up hair growth and increases follicle strength. If you have someone who's wanting to uh, wanting to have better, stronger hair, teeth, and nails, iodine is a definite thing. And you want to get that bioavailable iodine. You want to get that iodine that's naturally occurring in whatever you're eating. Your foods are going to be the best sources of iodine. You saw on there that they mentioned foods, not necessarily talking about, needing to have this supplementing iodine, just iodine, because that, like we talked about, synthetic iodine is not going to be um, as bioavailable and readily usable as getting iodine from your food. So that's something to think about. That's an important thing to think about. Of course, anything that affects your hormones are going to affect your reproductive system. Um, Let me see. It helps in the normal growth and maturity of reproductive organs. A sufficient quantity of iodine in pregnant women is essential to prevent stillbirths and neurocognitive conditions such as cretinism in the newborn babies. It can also lead to gestational hypertension, which can result in a number of complications during infancy. It also ensures proper movement and growth, along with speech and hearing abilities. Furthermore, besides affecting the health of the baby once it is conceived, a deficiency in iodine can actually make women infertile. One problem, one problem that many pregnant women face is not realizing that they must consume iodine for herself and her child, because iodine passes into breast milk and a great deal is lost every day. Yeah, it doesn't stay in the system a long time. So that's why diet affects it better than um, heavy dosing it, because you're going to flush that stuff out. It's about consistency, not necessarily about the fact that you're doing it, but about how consistent you're doing it. Doing it once every week is going to be a lot less effective as doing it a little every day. Eating a little of those foods every day is going to be much better for your system than trying to mass dose it on one day. Studies show that pregnant women in nursing actually lose more than her entire required dose of iodine every day, which can result in serious iodine deficiency for her, even her after pregnancy and breastfeeding is over, due to the changes in activity of her hormonal glands. A lot of people miss that train when it comes to pregnancy and child and bearing children and stuff like that. The ladies will supplement during pregnancy, but not after. If you're Even if you're not doing breastfeeding, which I always recommend breastfeeding, but if you're not doing breastfeeding, you still need to supplement yourself because you're going to be changed. You're always changed after that. Not in a bad way. Your body changes. Immune system strength. Most people focus on the thyroid gland implications of iodine, but it has other functions, including being a major booster to the immune system. Iodine is itself a scavenger of free hydroxyl radicals, and that, like vitamin C, it also stimulates and increases the activity of antioxidant throughout the body to provide a strong defensive measure against various various diseases, including heart disease and cancer. Some studies show iodine directly protecting brain cells of rats from harmful effects of free radicals by bonding to fatty acids in the cell membranes, leaving less room for free radicals to affect the organism. And that is a long-term benefit. Things that can bond to fatty acids within the cell in the cell membranes adds a longer-term protection than just your average immune booster. So that's definitely something that is beneficial for the immune system. It allows it to be stronger and more efficient is a good way to look at it too. Your body becomes more efficient at protecting itself. So hypothyroidism. This condition is characterized by an underactive thyroid gland, resulting in general slowing down of all the body's processes as the chemical balance in your body goes off track. One of the most common results of hypothyroidism is a large increase in weight because your body simply doesn't burn off the calories of food and turn it into useful energy. Although hypothyroidism can occur for a number of reasons, not just iodine deficiency, it is still a good idea to increase your intake of iodine and stimulate the hormonal activity that will help you lose the weight and body fat that is so common in hypothyroid patients. Some other effects of hypothyroidism are fatigue, dry skin, trouble concentrating, constipation, cramps, and leg swelling. If not treated, it can even result in more serious conditions like heart failure or coma. And lots of people have hypothyroidism, and a lot of people don't even know they have hypothyroidism. Um, it can happen a lot, and it mentions the weight thing. So this actually leads into a negative feedback cycle. Um, Say that you don't get overweight because of hypothyroidism. You get overweight because you eat too much. Okay. Well, what happens then is your body's like, well, I'm so heavy, I don't need to eat anymore, but I don't understand the signals that you're giving me by eating more, and so your thyroid starts to just kind of wither, not getting the proper signals, not understanding, or it gets really big, which is hyperthyroidism, which is too active. So either way, we're assuming that you get big because and you gain weight because you're eating too much. Well, if you're eating too much, your body's trying to then compensate for that. It tries to work with the thyroid more. And what happens is you can exhaust your thyroid. You can exhaust any organ in your system until other organs have to start picking up the slack. If you start to exhaust it, well, then it starts that negative feedback loop where you're not getting enough. You ate too much, and now you're overweight, and your body's not producing enough uh, of the thyroid hormones to be able to boost your metabolism. So it tries to use more iodine, but then as it uses more iodine up to try and keep up with the load you're putting on it, it gets less efficient, and then it starts to lose out, and then it feeds back, and you gain more weight, and then it starts that loop over again where you've gained more weight, and then now you are having to produce more stuff, and eventually you're exhausting that thyroid and its hormones. So think about that. That's why it's important to supplement with your trace minerals. We've talked about them before. It's important to have them so that your body has the minerals it needs in the bioavailable way, in a way that's going to be easily absorbed in your system. Um, fibrocystic disease. Iodine can significantly reduce conditions like fibrosis, turgidity, and breast tenderness. Iodine acts as a relief for fibrocystic disease and is widely used in therapies, both alternative and modern. Studies have shown a significant correspondence between molecular iodine and the reduction in the signs and symptoms of fibrocystic breast disease. So, yes, there's that. What you're seeing here is because it's good for the hair, the skin, those connective tissues, it helps benefit also all connective tissues. All connective tissues need to use it, because it binds and it goes where it's supposed to on that. And your body will use it where it needs to, so it's understandable that a fibrocystic disease would be helped by it. All right. I believe this is the last part. Nope, I'm wrong. Okay, so cancer prevention. Um, we're going to have to breeze through these a bit faster. I'm not going to be able to read them all. So probably the most important health benefit to thyroid influence is the anti-carcinogenic properties. Studies have shown that cancer cells shrink after being injected with iodine, and at times they even undergo apoptosis, automatic cell death, and are even replaced with healthier cells. The exact mechanism of this process is still unknown, but studies have found that this positive connection, particularly in terms of iodine's effect on inducing apoptosis in breast cancer carcinoma cells. So, if you've had someone or know someone that has had breast cancer, just like it helps with the fibrotic cyst disease there, it can help with this overgrowth of unhealthy cells, because that's what cancer is. It's a malfunction in the cell's programming, and they just continually go on and on replicating. So it's an unhealthy cell. This helps the body recognize it a bit better. In terms of thyroid cancer, iodine is essential in preventing this extremely dangerous form of cancer. Studies have shown that thyroid cancer patients consistently show an improvement in symptoms after increasing their levels of iodine intake, and the appearance of thyroid cancer is far more common in people who suffer from iodine deficiency. That's because your body tries to make it bigger so that it can take the load of not getting enough nutrients or getting too much. Basically, iodine is a preventative measure and a cure of sorts for thyroid cancer. That's their words, not mine. They got this nice infographic there if you want to download that. I love infographics. Iodine programs cell death. That goes back to what they were talking about there with the cancer. If it's going to do that, it functions and tells your system, okay, it kind of looks at the timer on your cell, and it's like, well, this one's overclocked or this one's underclocked, and so on and so forth. And it allows the body to apoptosis some of them. And it can do that with healthy cells too, in a positive way, not a negative way. So that's why it makes it so beneficial against with the cancer. Iodine removes toxic chemicals. Remember, iodine, it flushes out quite a bit. And because it's flushed out fairly regularly, the body can use it to bind nasty stuff to it. Chemicals like fluoride, lead, mercury, and biological toxins is what they mention. And that can include things like H. pylori and bacterial infections too, because bacteria are cells, and cells have programs running. Thyroid and goiter disorders, iodine deficiency, cause of goiter. They give a few more recommendations on the goiter part. Um, that goiters the enlarged thyroid gland. They mention things like eggs, salt, seafood, and dietary products. The reason they mention salt is because it binds very readily with iodine. Now, that goes back to the idea of you're taking iodine bound salt in table salt. Well, won't it just come out with the salt? And the idea is a lot of it ends up coming out with the salt. Like I said, bioavailability, not exactly there in iodized sea salt, though it's better than nothing. I'm not saying that it's not useful in certain situations when you don't have, but in general, it's not all that. It's not as effective as it could be, getting it from a better source, from a food source especially. A few words of caution that they want to end with, so we'll go ahead and read this. Iodine overdose is more than 2,000 milligrams could be dangerous, especially in people suffering from kidney ailments or tuberculosis. When taken in excess, iodine could result in thyroid papillary cancer, so too much is bad, that's what they're saying, rather than helping to prevent it. Pregnant women and nursing mothers should be cautious not to take iodine except in specifically prescribed doses. A healthy balance is required, but different people's bodies will react differently to dose amounts. So be careful and observant. Okay, so that's the end of the article. And all in all, I like this article. It's quite good. It has a lot of ready, handy information. And all in all, I like it. It does a good job of presenting the information that it's wanting to, as well as um, giving us a good idea of what we're looking at, too. So, yeah, gives us an adequate amount of information to keep our brains ticking, as well as throwing in some scientific stuff in there, some sprinkling of proper names and things like that to uh, stimulate that learning process. So, hopefully, you enjoyed it too. Like I said, I'm a little. I would have liked to have seen some mention of the importance of bioavailability of iodine when it came to different sources, uh, and and promoting a more dietary approach to it, because your diet's going to be the big thing. If your diet's bad, it doesn't matter how much iodine you're taking. Um, you're not going to get good benefits out of it. And so that's definitely something to consider. If you're looking at your iodine and trying to decide, well, should I or shouldn't I, or things like that, the answer should be, yeah, you should get it in your diet, but from bioavailable sources. Even if you're living in America, look at the sources that you're getting your iodine from. Are you getting it from salt, which is only going to give you, it's not going to be super bioavailable, at least the manufactured salt. Sea salt or harvested salt, uh, you could have better benefits from. You could get better benefits from, because sea salt is going to have iodine naturally balanced within it. So there is that. Um, if you guys end up having any questions, you can let me know. You can get in the comments below. You can contact us through any of these things here. Let me see. I get my hand right there. There. Any of these things here. And I believe that's everything. I don't have too much to uh, remark about this one, because it was fairly good, fairly solid. Um, watch your sources and enjoy. So you can get with us there, make remarks on those places or in the comments below. And as always, I would like it if you had a great day. God bless and enjoy.